everyone, welcome to the channel. This is James, and in this video I'm going to do something a few people have requested, and I try to do requested videos. I know someone recently requested that I try to explain the ranks of the CRM, which we've been talking about in the comments and is very confusing if you try to think about it. And there's just not enough info. I don't know if I could do a video on the ranks and actually explain anything because I don't understand it. They don't make sense really. But I have been asked about the timeline, and a lot of people have made comments that, you know, it totally shows that there's a misunderstanding of the timeline, and that's cool. I totally understand because it's all over the place, right? So I want to talk about the timeline just a little bit, and I'm not going to give a year. I'm not going to worry about months or days, you know, exact times. Oh my God, it's exactly this year or that year or whatever. We're going to throw that out the window a little bit and just talk events. This event happened, and they said a year passed before this other event happened. And then we know in the other show, a year time jump happened and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to go by and try to explain it. And I think it is loosely correct as far as giving you an idea of where the main show is compared to what we're watching in The Ones Who Live. All right, in this made up little graph here, each line represents 1 year of span, 1 year time spans. So let's start the TWD main show. Let's start the first line. That's 10 years in. We know Omaha's destroyed. That's a big moment in the show that we can line up across the main show and the spinoffs. So if you'll notice, 10 years in, when Omaha was destroyed, the main show is just at the Whisper arc. And if you look at The Ones Who Live, they're starting to build the Cascades place that they're supposed to be done with in a year. And then the big summit of all the top brass and stuff of the CRM, that's going to happen 1 year from then. Well, what happened 1 year from the Whisper arc, roughly? This is very roughly. That's when the Commonwealth arc started. So if you go down to The Ones Who Live, Michonne and Rick jumped out of the helicopter at the end of episode 3, around the time the Commonwealth arc is just getting started in The Walking Dead. So I know a lot of people are like, well, Commonwealth would come to the rescue and Rick could go to Commonwealth and, you know, everything will be hunky-dory. Well, actually, everything isn't hunky-dory for our group in the Walking Dead main show at this point because Eugene and them have just been taken by Commonwealth. They don't really know what's going on yet. You know, they haven't overtaken Commonwealth yet. But we know that once Eugene gets to Commonwealth, there's not quite a year, I don't think, but almost a year before they take down Pamela. And, you know, at the end of that, there was a year time jump. Let's go another year out. Ezekiel is the governor now. So let's go 2 years back, roughly estimated 2 years backwards, and Michonne pulls Rick out of the helicopter. Okay, let's say we know what happens for the next 2 years, pretty much, in the Walking Dead main show. We know what happens at Commonwealth. It takes a while for that to play out. We know there's a year time jump after that. So if we expect, you know, they've beat Commonwealth and Ezekiel as governor, he's going to rally the troops and come help. That's 2 years down the line. I mean, what's Rick and Michonne going to do for the next 2 years waiting on that? In episode 3 of The Ones Who Live, Thorne said that in just a few days, the big summit's going to happen. So they had to clear those delts out that broke the perimeter that Michonne, you know, went against orders and pushed the bomb ahead and stuff like that. Right before that mission, Thorne said, just a few days, the summit's going to happen. So Rick and Michonne escape. They jump out of the helicopter. You know, there's a lot of stuff going to go down way before even Pamela is taken down, I bet. Way before even Ezekiel becomes governor. And people ask other things like, hey, how did Daryl and Carol get up the coast without seeing the city or without seeing the helicopters or without the helicopters seeing them and all this kind of stuff? You know, for one thing, just one person going up the coastline is different than a caravan, say, of Michonne's heading straight for the city, you know, and getting really close. There's a whole state of New Jersey in between Philadelphia and the coast. Daryl and Carol could easily go up the coast and just not be seen or not be worried about. But this is over 2 years, over 2 years, when Daryl and Carol were going up the coast thing, that whole thing happening. Hey, Rick and Michonne may have taken over CRM and there's just no worries anymore. But that's another thing. If there's so much time left, even in Dead City, even further, and we haven't heard about what happened to Rick and Michonne yet, man, it's kind of crazy to think about it. Rick and Michonne could save the world in the next few days in the Ones Who Live timeline. The main show timeline, the Daryl Dixon timeline, the Dead City timeline, none of that has given us any clue that Rick defeated CRM or anything. So I'm sure the only way we're going to figure it out is watching the next 3 episodes. So I really hope you guys are there and we can continue talking about all the episodes and everything in the comments. We can definitely talk about this down in the comments below, and you know I'll join you there. This is James in Nashville. As always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more dead stuff.